Okay, so in the last video we made the base of the tree, the trunk of the tree. And while I'm talking about this, Blender has, in a recent Blender version, they added a script for making trees. It's super cool. I think it's kind of beyond what we're ready for right now. But Blender has taken the work out of some of this. And if you want to, if you feel ambitious, you can Google Blender tree script, and there's a great video on it on one of the Blender sites. But I think following it would be a little bit beyond our abilities right now, and I also think this is good practice for things like curves, which are pretty important. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I need to make some of the offshoot branches. Okay, so I'm not going to reinvent the wheel here. I'm going to take 2 or 3 of these anchors. Okay, so if you imagine that this is a point right here, and then I'm going to hit with holding down Shift. I clicked on all 3 of these center points, and then I'm going to do Shift D to create a duplicate. Okay, so holding down Shift and D creates this duplicate, and then I'm going to rotate it. And I'm going to grab it, and you should be able to see it go into the other branch. Do you see how it kind of disappears as you move it down into the other branch? Now, because I'm on the same plane, this is pretty easy at this point. Okay, so I'm going to take this, and I'm just going to slide it in right there. Okay, and then I can move this. I'm going to grab this point, move it down, change the rotation. This is important because otherwise, if you don't modify it after you add it, your viewer will be able to recognize the similarities, and trees don't really have these repeating shaped branches. So I just use it as a starting point. Okay, so I'm going to do that. Now, if I continue to add branches this way, it would look good here, but when I turned to the one view, it's all the points are in the same plane. So if you picture your video, if it's a straight on scene, this may be okay, but as the camera moves past, you're going to be able to see the flatness. Okay, and so this is where it gets a little bit complicated. We got to add some branches in the other plane. Okay, in the other planes, and you can do this a couple different ways. Okay, one of the ways would be to to take a different angle. So now I'm going to move into the 3 or the 1 view, so the angle I haven't put, or the dimension I haven't put things on. I'm going to go back into object mode, and I'm going to add a new curve. Okay, so I'm going to add this Bezier curve. And I got to do, it's a brand new curve, so I got to do the same things to it. I got to turn off back and front, and I got to turn on 3D. Okay, I got to set a bevel depth. Okay, and then I'm going to give it a resolution of 6. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll grab this in the 7 view. Okay, I'll move it, and I can still slide it into the tree like this. Okay, now I'm back in the 1 view. I'm going to slide it down, and then I'm going to use the going into the edit mode. Okay, I'm going to curve it a little bit. Okay, so basically what I'm doing is I'm trying to replicate the last step. Okay, but in this case, I'm putting it in this new plane. Okay, now because it's its own thing, I don't have to worry about, for now I don't have to worry about messing with the tree I already have. And even though I've switched the location or the orientation, I'm still going to use this picture behind it. I'm going to assume that like this branch is how something looks coming off this way. Okay, so okay, I'm going to extrude. Actually, instead of extruding, I'm just going to grab and stretch. Okay, so I'm just going to take this end point, grab it, curve it a little bit. Okay, now I can always subdivide. So if I click these 2 points in the middle, so that both ends are, and then I hit W, I can subdivide it. and subdividing lets me alter the middle a little bit, kind of like you were doing with your path. Okay. Now if you make it too army like that, it's going to look a little bit like a cactus. I don't know if you want that. So I'll bring it way up here, and then I'm going to subdivide between these 2 points, and then I can curve it a little bit more. Okay, so this is the really painstaking slow part. Just kind of moving the tree around. Now you always want to check the seam. Okay, so do you see how there it's sticking in but it's not coming through? Okay, if I were to move this too much, it would stick out the other side, and I don't want that. And if I move it too little, you can see it coming out. Also, pick a part of the tree where the branch you think would happen. That's why I think it's good to use the picture behind it still. Okay. Now I'm going to size it. So I'm going to go back into edit mode. I'm going to take this top part. I'm going to do Alt S. I'm going to make it a point. And I'm going to click to here. And all the way along. Again, I could just have done A. And then I'm going to do W. And I'm going to smooth radius. Okay. Now I can do 2 things here. I could leave these as separate. I'm going to size this a little bit more. I see it's kind of open at the top. Alt S to really make it a point. Okay. I could leave these as separate, or I could join them. Let's look at the differences. If I join them now, it's all going to be one object. So let me show you what happens. Okay, I hold down with this selected in object mode. I hold down Shift and I click this, and then I'm going to do Control J, and it'll say Join Selected Curves, and then you say yes. Okay. One of the things that makes it cool but also complicated is it redoes this edge to be the thickness of the tree at that point. And sometimes after that happens, it no longer fits in your in your curve. Okay, so once you join them, you can't unseparate them. So now I can't just move that around. So I just use Control Z to back, and then I can move it. For instance, I don't like that this is kind of off the center of the tree. So I'm going to grab it and I'm going to move it more towards the center of that limb. Okay, and then I'll go back, and then I can rejoin it by hitting Shift and then Control J, and now it's joined again. Okay, so always remember, if you join them and then you need to go back, you have to unjoin. Okay, so then I'm going to move to another point. Maybe I'll come like this and have another tree limb come off it. Okay, and so you're just going to keep adding branches.